Welcome to Wildcat Science with Mrs. Haugo. This is human biology in our psychology unit, and this is part 12. And today we're starting our last section of our psychology unit, and we're going to be talking about personality. So, personality refers to individual differences in characteristic patterns of thinking, feeling, and behaving. So please write that down. And when we're talking about the study of psychology, the study of personality in psychology, it will focus on one of two things. Either understanding individual differences for a specific trait, such as sociability and why people are different on their sociability spectrum, or something like irritability and why there are personal differences with that trait. The other way that people focus on in psychology studying personality is understanding how various parts of a person come together as a whole. So one, they pick a trait and then they look at everybody, and another one, they pick a person and they see how these traits come together. So personality tests don't really have good science behind them, but they are fun to do. So let's look at one, which is the Myers-Briggs Personality Inventory. If you have not already taken your personality inventory, please pause the video and do that first. Also, I will share this document with you if you would like to reference it. So introduction, the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator, MBTI, is a self-reporting questionnaire designed to indicate psychological preferences in how people perceive the world and make decisions. The questionnaire was constructed by Katharine Cook Briggs and her daughter Isabel Briggs Myers, and it is based on the idea proposed by Carl Jung that there are four principal psychological functions by which humans experience the world: sensation, intuition, feeling, and thinking, and that one of these four functions is dominant for a person most of the time. The underlying assumption of the MBTI is that we all have specific preferences in the way we make sense of our experiences, and these preferences underlie our interests, needs, values, and motivation. The MBTI is controversial because it is popular, especially in business work settings, but the questionnaire has been shown to have poor validity and poor reliability. Validity means you get an accurate answer for the thing that you are testing. And reliability means you will get the same answer over and over again. So the fact that the MBTI remains popular despite lacking strong evidence to back up its effectiveness is itself an interesting psychological phenomenon. So that's something to keep in consideration when we're looking at our personality tests and results. So categories. The first pair of psychological preferences is extroversion versus introversion. Extroversion and introversion are terms used by C.G. Jung to explain different attitudes people use to direct their energy. Where do you put your attention and where do you get your energy? Do you like to spend time in the outer world of people and things, extroversion, or in your inner world of ideas and images, introversion? These words have a meaning in psychology that is different from the way that they are used in everyday language. Everyone spends some time extroverting and sometimes introverting. Don't confuse introversion with shyness or reclusiveness, because they are not related. So, and also don't confuse introversion or extroversion with having friends or being social. So introverts also like to do social things and will have friends. It's just we're focusing on where you put your attention and your energy. And there is a little bit of bias against introverts. A lot of times we consider introverts as failed extroverts, and that's not the case. It's two totally different things, and it's where you put your energy and where you, how you recharge. So introverts have their own strengths, extroverts have their own strengths, it's just different. We will fill this out as we are going through the video, so please find your Google Slides Myers-Briggs personality types and open that up. And then part 1, where you focus your attention. If you had a higher score in inventory 1A compared to 1B, you get a E for extroversion. If you had a higher score on 1B inventory compared to 1A, you get an I for introversion. And then you will scroll down and you will type either an E or an I there, and then introversion or extroversion. All right, looking at part 2, which is the way you take in information, either an S or an N. The second pair of psychological preferences is sensing and intuition. It is based on information. Do you prefer to focus on the basic information you take in, or do you prefer to interpret and add meaning? This is called sensing or intuition. Do you pay more attention to information that comes in through your 5 senses, sensing, or do you pay more attention to the patterns and possibilities that you see in the information you receive, intuition? Everyone spends some time sensing and some time using intuition. Don't confuse sensing with sensual, those are not the same. So coming to our document, part 2, if you had a higher score for inventory 2A, you would have S for sensing, and if you had a higher score for inventory 2B, then you get an N for intuition, and again you'd come down here, put an S or an N, and then sensing or intuition. Then we're going to go to part 3, how you make decisions. This third preference pair describes how you like to make decisions. Do you like to put more weight on objective principles and impersonal facts, thinking, or do you put more weight on personal concerns and the people involved, feeling? Don't confuse feeling with emotion. Everyone has emotions about the decisions they make. Also, do not confuse thinking with intelligence. It's just how you tend to make decisions, not if you're emotional or intelligent. Those are different things. Coming to our document, if you had a higher score for inventory 3A, you put a T for thinking, and if you had a higher score for inventory 3B, mark an F for feeling, and then you're going to come down here and either put a T or an F, and then thinking or feeling. So this fourth preference pair describes how you like to live your outer life. What are the behaviors others tend to see? Do you prefer a more structured and decided lifestyle, judging, or a more flexible and adaptable lifestyle, perceiving? This preference may also be thought of as your orientation to the outer world. Everyone takes in information some of the time. Everyone makes decisions some of the time. However, when it comes to dealing with the outer world, people who tend to focus on making decisions have a preference for judging because they tend to like to have things decided. People who tend to focus on taking in information prefer perceiving because they stay open to a final decision in order to get more information. Don't confuse judging and perceiving with a person's level of organization. Either preference can be organized or disorganized. If you have a higher score for inventory 4A, you will mark a J for judging, and if you have a higher score for inventory part 4B, you'll mark a P for perceiving, and that would go here, either a J or a P, judging or perceiving. And now we're going to look at the different types of Myers-Briggs personality categories. Before we do that, I would like to add a disclaimer. Remember when looking at your Myers-Briggs type that it is a generalization. The questionnaire generalized all the complex personalities of the world into 16 categories. Also, be mindful of confirmation bias, which is a human tendency to search for or interpret information in a way that confirms one's preconceptions. And also be mindful of self-fulfilling prophecies, which are the human tendency for a prediction directly or indirectly to influence future belief and behaviors. Also remember that the validity and reliability of this questionnaire is controversial. So with all that in mind, do you agree with your type? Do you find it interesting? This is a site I have found fun to look at. I can't vouch for the validity of this source, but it just is fun to look at with Myers-Briggs inventory. To find your Myers-Briggs personality type, there is another document to look at. It is a Myers-Briggs personality types that I have shared with you. And you'll want to find if yours is an SJ, then you would fall in the sensing judging types, and these are duty seekers. SJs are motivated by a need to be useful and of service. They like to stick to the standard ways of doing things and value traditions, customs, and laws of society. And then there are 4 SJs, ESTJ, ESFJ, ISTJ, and ISFJ. If you are an SJ, you will want to read these descriptions and see if they fit you. And if they don't, then we can do a little bit of tweaking with your Myers-Briggs personality inventory. Perhaps you had an SP. That is a sensing perceiving type, and they tend to be action seekers. SPs are motivated by a need for freedom and action. They value and enjoy living in the here and now. And again, there are 4 types of SPs, sensing perceiving types: ESTP, ESFP, ISTP, and ISFP. Again, you'd want to read these descriptions and see if they fit you. If you did not have an S, you would have an N, and you'll be one of the other 8 categories. And those, we're going to start with NTs, knowledge seekers, and intuitive thinking types. NTs are motivated by a need to understand the world around them. They value competency and the powers of the mind. And there are 4 types: ENTJ, ENTP, INTJ, and INTP. Again, read the descriptions and see if you think they fit you well. The last category are the intuitive feeling types, the ideal seekers. NFs are motivated by a need to understand themselves and others. They value authenticity and integrity and strive for an ideal world. And there are 4 types: ENFJ, ENFP, INFJ, and INFP. And you'll want to read the descriptions and see if they fit you. Okay, at this stage is where we might need to do a little bit of tweaking. If your personality type was like, well, kind of right, kind of wrong, like I said, there's some tweaking we can do. In your inventory, you may have been borderline on one of the parts, or perhaps you answered differently than what your true personality is, just the way the questions were worded. So let's say you had like an 8 on A and a 2 on B. Well, you're pretty solidly in one of the categories, in the first category. But if you had a 6 on A, inventory A, and a 7 on inventory B, well, you could fall in either one of them. So the ones that were kind of close, like let's say you had a 6 on sensing and a 7 on intuition, and none of the N categories really seem to fit, then we could look at the ones that were S categories. And once you think you have found yours out of those 16 categories, you're going to type it down here, and then we're going to go to the reflection. Okay, review the description, reflect, and ask at least 2 other people. Address these questions in a well-written statement, including an introduction and a conclusion. Do you agree with this inventory? How well does your personality fit into this description? If it doesn't fit, which type seems to be a better fit for your personality? Which parts of the description fit your personality and which parts do not fit or only kind of fit your personality? And then please provide one example from your life of how this description or one part of it fits into your personality. And then you will write your reflection here. This is a fun part, and I always enjoy looking at our personalities and sharing them with each other if you would like to. And with that, our psychology notes are done. Good job, everybody. You get a star. All right, good job. Bye.